unilaterally changing vaccine recommendations without consulting the customary panel of experts. As a pediatrician, I find that extremely alarming. So I thought we would talk a little bit about some vaccine-preventable diseases. Secretary Kennedy, and these are yes or no questions, have you ever treated measles?
Do I what?
Have you ever treated measles?
No.
Well, I have. Let me tell you how miserable it is. These kids have high fevers, struggling to breathe, and they are crying. They suffer. Great news is that there is a vaccine to prevent it. Secretary Kennedy, again, a yes or no question. Have you ever treated bacterial meningitis?
Welcome back to American Stronghold, where we stand for truth, accountability, and the principles this nation was built upon. Before we dive into today's topic, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss when we expose the political games and power grabs happening in Washington. We're here to cut through the noise, give you the facts, and offer the perspective the mainstream media refuses to show you. Today, we're reacting to a fiery exchange between Representative Kim Schrier of Washington State and Secretary Kennedy during a recent hearing. And folks, let me tell you, what we just witnessed was not an honest discussion about public health. It was another example of a political ambush dressed up as a moral lecture. Here's the setup. Dr. Schrier started by attacking Secretary Kennedy for posting a 60-second video on X, changing certain vaccine recommendations without first consulting a government-appointed panel.
No.
Well, I have. These babies are so sick. They come into the ER with high fevers, they are floppy, and we have to figure out why. Do you know how we figure out if a baby has meningitis?
Excuse me?
Do you know how we figure out if a baby has spinal meningitis?
How many babies?
I'm going to explain how we figure out and determine if a baby has meningitis.
Okay.
We insert a needle between vertebrae until the fluid that surrounds the spinal cord drips out into a test tube. It's called a spinal tap. We used to do lots of them. Fortunately, we don't have to do very many of these anymore because we have 3 vaccines that prevent childhood meningitis. These are miracles. Secretary Kennedy, yes or no, have you ever treated pertussis or whooping cough?
No, I've had it.
Well, I have. And in infants, in fact, the one I treated, weeks old, came in because the baby just stopped breathing and turned blue. Let me tell you how scared those parents were. And I've treated a bunch of older kids with it. They cough so hard, they vomit. They run out of air. They break ribs. And if you don't catch it before 2 weeks, antibiotics don't even work. They cough for months with broken ribs, and that is why it is called a 100-day cough. But you know what's great? There's a vaccine that prevents this. Of course, here's the thing. Vaccines only work if you actually give them. And we know your record on this. We rely on the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, a panel of experts to recommend which vaccines people should get at which ages and the like. Now, I know Senator Cassidy had concerns about your views on this, and so when he voted to confirm you as Secretary of HHS on February 4th, he explained that decision by saying on the Senate floor that, quote, if confirmed, you will maintain the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices without changes. But then 2 weeks ago, you fired all 17 experts on that very committee. Mr. Secretary, question for you. Did you lie to Senator Cassidy when you told him you would not change this panel of experts?
I never made that agreement.
So are you saying that Senator Cassidy lied when he was on the Senate floor, lied to the American people?
I didn't see that statement by Senator Cassidy. I've only heard it from you, but if he said that I agreed to it, it would be inaccurate. I made an agreement with him. I made an agreement with him, and he and I have talked many times about that agreement.
My time. I just want to tell you that for most of us sitting here right now, we believe Senator Cassidy more than we trust you when it comes to vaccinations. It sounds to me like you gave him the answer he needed to hear in order to get his confirmation vote. And then as soon as you were secretary, you turned around and did whatever you want. You fired all 17 members.
I'm complying with all the agreements that I
Mr.
made with
Secretary,
Senator Cassidy.
You're now on the record. You lied to Senator Cassidy. You have lied to the American people. You have lied to parents about vaccines for 20 years. And I also want to be clear that I will lay all responsibility for every death from a vaccine-preventable illness at your feet.
Immediately framed this as reckless, alarming, and dangerous. Right out of the gate, you could see this was not going to be an objective conversation. It was a setup. Now, nobody here is saying that diseases like measles or meningitis aren't serious. They are. But this isn't about debating whether vaccines exist or whether diseases can be dangerous. This is about government overreach, control over medical decisions, and the attempt to discredit someone for challenging the established bureaucratic system. The left loves to blur the line between disagreeing with policy and being anti-science. That's exactly what was going on here. She then pivoted to accuse Kennedy of lying to Senator Cassidy during his confirmation process. According to Schrier, Cassidy supported Kennedy's nomination on the condition that he wouldn't alter the CDC's advisory committee on immunization practices. She claimed Kennedy fired all 17 members of that committee just 2 weeks ago, breaking a promise and betraying the American people. Then came the real gut punch. Schrier closed by declaring on the record that she believes Kennedy has lied to the Senate, lied to the public, and lied to parents about vaccines for 20 years. She went as far as to say she would hold him personally responsible for every death from a vaccine-preventable illness. Let that sink in. This is a sitting member of Congress publicly accusing a government official of being responsible for deaths, without proof, in a formal hearing. That's not oversight. That's defamation masked as righteous outrage. As a right-leaning patriot, here's the core issue. What we just saw was not an honest discussion about health policy. It was a political hit job aimed at silencing dissent and reinforcing a one-size-fits-all narrative. In this country, you are supposed to be allowed to question government policy. You are supposed to be able to make changes to committees if you believe they're not serving the public interest. Yet every time someone steps out of line with the government's official health stance, the establishment launches a full-scale character assassination. We should also talk about the hypocrisy here. How many times have so-called health experts gotten things wrong over the last few years? How many shifting guidelines, contradictory statements, and temporary measures have turned into permanent policies? Where was the outrage then? Where were the dramatic stories and moral condemnations when those in power made decisions without consulting the people, or when those decisions caused harm? The truth is, what they really fear is losing control. Advisory committees, panels, and expert boards sound great in theory, but in practice, they often end up stacked with people who all think the same way, push the same narrative, and shut down any opposing views. If Kennedy wanted to clear out a committee and bring in new experts with fresh perspectives, that's called leadership. You might not agree with it, but it's not inherently wrong. We'll keep watching this story closely because the battle for truth, transparency, and medical freedom isn't going away anytime soon. If you believe in accountability, free speech, and the right to question government authority, then stand with us here at American Stronghold. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends and family who refuse to be told what to think. The fight for freedom is only just beginning, and we're not backing down.